night, Papua New Guinea, and welcome back to another episode of Sportsin. It's a pleasure to have you join me on the show tonight. Well, before we get things rolling, we will take a look at what's coming up on the show tonight. We have the president of the Capital Rugby Union, Kori, and few international rugby players who will be coming on the show, as well as our female top weightlifter, Dika Toua, who we spoke to during the week. That's coming up on the show. Before we get things rolling, let's take a look at our weekend scoreline. Let's start with the NRL. For the NRL Round 9 results, on Thursday night, Sharks defeated the Cowboys in a massive scoreline, 44 points to 6. On Friday night's doubleheader, we saw the Eels 43 defeating the Knights on 12 points. And this was the upset of the round. The Rabbitohs 32 defeating Brisbane Broncos on 6 points. Then on Saturday's triple-header, Raiders 31 defeated the Dolphins on 30 points, just won by 1 point. And the Titans 26 defeated the Manly Seagulls on 10 points. And this was another upset of the round. The West Tigers coming out victors over the Penrith Panthers on 12 points to 8. Then on Sunday's doubleheader, the Roosters 14 defeated the Warriors 0, and the Bulldogs 18 defeated the Dragons on 16 points. Now to the Host Plus Round 7 results. Belly Bears 20 defeated the Brisbane Tigers on 16 points. Central Capras 22 defeated Wynnum Seagulls on 16 points. The North Devils 48 defeated Northern Pride 0. And Redcliffe's Dolphins 32 defeated competition leaders, the Falcons, on 18 points. And Western Clydales 46 defeated the Ipswich Jets on 10 points. South Logan Magpies 30 points, defeating the Townsville Blackhawks on 4. For the Super Rugby Round 10 results, Hurricanes 32 defeated Brumbies on 27. Waratahs 21 defeated Highlanders on 20 points. The Blues 30 defeated Fijian Drewers 14, and Rebels 43 defeated Mohana Pacifica 33 points. Chief 34 defeated Crusaders 24 points, and Queensland Reds 31 defeating the Western Force on 17. For the Capital Rugby Union Round 4 Premier Men's result, Brothers 30 running over Crusaders 10, and the Defence 25 defeating Valianters on 7 points. On Sunday, University Piggies 11 defeated Wanderers on 8, and Nova pressed Harlequins 23 points to 7. In the Port Moresby basketball results on Tuesday night, women's game, we saw the Chariots 63 defeating Saints on 29 points, and in the men's division, the Saints 53 running out victors on Chariots 39. Well, that was our weekend scoreline for all the weekend sporting activities that took place. We will take a short break now, and we will return with more on Sportsin. Stay with us. Hello and welcome back to Sportsin. All right, we have on the show tonight is the president of the Capital Rugby Union, Kori. Kori, welcome to Sportsin, and how are you doing?
Yeah, good night, David. Thanks for having me, and yeah, good to be here.
All right, Kori, we'll just start with a few questions. Just tell us a bit about how, as your time as the president, what changes have you made to the management and staff structure of CRU?
Yeah, so I came into office in 2018, and our current executive is the same executive that got appointed then, so that hasn't changed. But yeah, this year we've brought on board some of our operations and technical team. So Afata Samuel has come in as operations manager. We've also had Piranus Bokuit come on as our technical officer, and Afata is also supported by Kenneth Vagi, our Pukpuk, current Pukpuk, yep. Who's decided to have a year off from rugby, and he's helping in the operations side as well. So we've got a good team that's formed, and also on the side we've also got some advisors that have been helping us with our marketing and commercial framework. Rao Rao has come on as an advisor. He's the former CEO for PNG RFL, as well as Brendan Chan, who's come on to really help us with the branding element of Capital Rugby.
Just tell us a bit about what's the significance, or why did you undertake these changes?
I think mainly because we need to raise the profile of rugby union. Yep. And I think for far too long now, over the last decade, we've really lost ground. And you know, I think Port Moresby, having the base that it does with all the corporates here, there's a really good opportunity to tap into a talent pool. And you know, we've got the oldest competition in the country, you know, spanning over 60 years now. So you know, that bit of tradition and history, we've got to tap into that as well. It's something we've got to be proud about. You know, for clubs to be able to last that long, over, you know, some have been nearly 6 decades now, like University and Brothers. You know, it takes a lot of work by a lot of individuals, you know, bringing a lot of talent through the system. But I think for us, we also want to you know, we want to try and raise the profile so that we can unearth talent, but give them a pathway, so that there's more than just playing at Bava. You know, we want to bring our players to international levels so they can compete there and be competitive. But also, I think rugby is very much a global game, so we want to see our players have an opportunity to play off overseas as well.
All right, as you mentioned, rugby is a global game, and you want to play at the highest standard. One of the things that we understand is there will be a rugby clinic in a couple of weeks or days' time.
Hours.
Yeah.
It's on tomorrow.
On tomorrow.
Or today, sorry.
So just explain a bit about that clinic and its significance.
Yeah, so the rugby clinic, we've been really fortunate at CRU to have 2 former professional players. Sorry, one's they're still current. But they've offered their time and services to come to PNG and work very closely with our CRU coaches, our players and referees. So that's Peddy Ryan and Aiden Toua. So both have played Super Rugby, international rugby, and you know, overseas in Europe and currently in Japan as well. So I think what we're aiming to do with this clinic is really to help our coaches just look at the way in which they're coaching their players. Yeah. And so this is really a program for Capital Rugby Union coaches. So we're looking at the junior level, the under-19s, our women's and our men's. So yeah, there's a lot of, you know, the last 10 years I'll be perfectly honest, we've gone backwards in rugby. So we're almost starting from base level again. We've got to learn all the basics, and we've got to teach all the basics to our players.
All right, we have on the show is the former Super Rugby players, Dika Toua and Peddy Ryan. Peddy was the former Waratahs player. He also played for Australian Wallabies, and Aiden Toua, who represented the Queensland Reds and Brumbies. Guys, welcome to the show, and how are you both doing?
Thanks for having us, David. It's nice to be back in the studio. David, thanks for having us, man.
All right, we'll just start with, why don't you both, we start with Aiden, just give a little intel on yourself, where you're from, and your playing career as well.
Yeah, no worries, David. Born and raised here in Port Moresby. Very proud Papua New Guinean, and then fortunate enough to go down to boarding school where I took up the game of rugby, and it's where my sort of love for the game started. And then after that, down in Brisbane, you know, as you mentioned, I had a career with the Queensland Reds, the ACT Brumbies. I've spent some time over in France and over in Japan. And now recently I've moved back to Port Moresby with my young family. And yeah, look, and I've had really good conversations with Kori and what he's doing at the CRU, and you know, just trying to give back everything that I've learnt over the last sort of 12, 13 years and give back to the game here. You know, for me, it's where it all started. I know there's an abundance of talent. They just need, you know, little structures and frameworks to, you know, to unlock that talent, and you know, I'm willing to help out and give my time to help the game grow.
Yes, I'm from rural New South Wales. I went to school in Sydney and started out at the Waratahs in around 2010, and finished up there in about 2018. And since then, I've been playing in Japan at a couple of clubs. I took the game up. Rugby's in my family. My dad played. His dad played. It's a big part of rural culture in Australia. Is coming together. A lot of farmers and stuff come together on the weekend and play rugby. And that's kind of how I started, and I think there's similarities between that regional setup of rugby in Australia, where community comes together on the weekend, enjoys a game of rugby, and what goes on here in PNG from what I've heard and what I've seen on the streams. And like Aiden, I'm here because Kori and the CRU have reached out and want me to come down and help, and I've always wanted to come to PNG. I've got some good friends here, so yeah, really looking forward to working with the players over the next few days.
Just tell us a bit about the rugby clinic that you will be running the next 4 days. What specifically you will be imparting to the referees and coaches in Port Moresby?
Yes, I think for me, I play in the front row, and so my role coming here would be to work on a few things around the set piece. That's kind of a big part of rugby, particularly for PNG as they move into that international rugby scene, like Kori and the CRU have planned. So I think just trying to improve a few things around the scrum and line out, give a few insights and a different voice, and then work with the coaches on some things that I've learned over my career. But like I just said, from what I've seen on the stream, there's a lot to work with here. There's obviously a really strong rugby competition and a great rugby culture.
I guess this clinic, it's a fantastic initiative by Kori and the CRU. Obviously, 2006 was the last time anything like this has been run. And Kori he's really passionate in terms of, he talked about before, building the foundations and the fundamentals of the game, and I think that's where I'm going to be, I guess, leading what I'm trying to teach. And it's just going back to the core structures of the game, the catch pass, making the most of basic 3-on-2 situations, and just the fundamentals of the game that we can build on moving forward. And I think we're incredibly privileged to have someone like Peddy come into country and impart his knowledge, because the set piece, from what I was involved in last year, it's definitely somewhere where there's lots of room for growth, and somewhere where we can really set ourselves apart from the different countries within our sort of tier of competition, internationally and globally. And so, hopefully this is the start of something special in terms of the number of clinics that we have, and growing the brand of rugby and the awareness around rugby union, and bringing it back to where it belongs.
Rugby is a global sport, as we all know. What do you want to see PNG? Where do you want to see it in the next 4 to 5 years?
Yeah, I think 4 to 5 years is can be quite a long time in rugby. I think certainly working towards those Oceania championships and going well there, I think is all the next 4 to 5 years going to be about building that foundation like Kori speaks about so eloquently. I just think that's a great opportunity to really establish themselves, and then obviously the long-term goal for a place with as much talent as PNG is World Cup in 15s and Olympics in 7s. Now I think the Olympics, I have a very limited understanding of 7s because my position doesn't play in 7s rugby. But my understanding of 7s rugby and your ability to adapt with that is that wouldn't be as far down the road as perhaps a 15s in the World Cup. I think my role will be, or the excitement of the growth, and my role in that will be doing whatever I can whenever I'm come to PNG with Kori and the CRU and whatever that involves, and trying to work on the set piece and the forward-based stuff. And then, I would love to be sitting back, having a beer somewhere one day and watch the 15s be playing in a World Cup.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time here on Sporting, and we wish you all the best going forward in your future endeavours.
Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
There you have it. That was Peddy and Aiden Toua, who will be running the rugby clinics in Port Moresby in the next couple of days. Prior to that, we had the president of Capital Rugby Union giving us an update and an insight on rugby and its way forward. We will take a short break now, and we will return with more on Sports Scene. Stay with us. Welcome back, and you're watching Sports In. Alright, on the show tonight, we spoke earlier this week to one of the country's leading female weightlifters, Dika Toua. Dika spoke to us about her plans going forward and how preparations are going at the moment towards the Pacific Games and the upcoming Olympic Games in Paris. Let's take a look at what she had to say during the interview. From humble beginning, Dika Toua started lifting weights at the age of 14. Her transition in the sport did not take long to blossom because of her love and passion for weightlifting. At the age of 16, Dika represented Papua New Guinea to the 2000 Sydney Summer Olympic Games, making her the first woman in PNG to compete in the 48 kg category. With over 20 plus years in the sport, the Pacific Games and Oceania champion also created history after being the first female weightlifter in the region to be inducted into the International Weightlifting Federation's Hall of Fame. Dika has also won quite a number of medals at the Pacific, the Commonwealth, and the Oceania Championship, making her one of Papua New Guinea's most successful athletes of all time. With the Solomon Island Games coming up in November, Dika is optimistic to repeat her gold medal winning performance at the 2019 Samoa Games before she prepares to qualify for the Paris Olympic Games next year.
While I am trying to qualify for the Olympic Games, I have other events which I need to attend to, which is the Cuba World Cup. And then I have World Championships in September in Saudi Arabia. And then I have Pacific Games, of course, in Solomon Islands. And then we have Qatar. That's what we've planned out for preparations. I have been training twice a day. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the Pacific Games and winning 3 more gold medals. Yeah, there.
With retirement not on her mind at this stage, the 39-year-old still feels she can go past 2026 and see from there. Toua said she wants to see a next brand of weightlifters coming through the ranks to replace her and the other weightlifters like Stephen Kori and more.